Yo, Saf back once again. I'm your host. Talk and Play Blurredcast is the podcast that you are listening to at this particular time. Thank you all so much for being here, all the newcomers. Thank you, everybody who's been rocking with me since day one. Appreciate you as well. You read the title. You already know what time it is. We have to talk about this $3.6 billion acquisition of Bungie by motherfucking Sony. Sony is not laying down. They're not letting this Microsoft acquisition knock them upside the head and keep them off balance. The stocks dropped or whatever after that announcement or whatever. Sony said, fuck that. We already got shit in the works. We're not playing. Let's keep it moving. We don't got time to be scared of no goddamn Microsoft Xbox and what they doing. So let me just play my intro music real quick, and then we'll jump into, a little bit of my thoughts and opinions about the Sony Bungie partnership acquisition or whatever the fuck they calling it. Let's go. Yeah, so like I said, Sony, $3.6 billion to acquire Bungie. Based on all of the information that has come out thus far, it is pretty much a we buying y'all and y'all still gonna be y'all because Bungie is gonna retain all of its creative control. It's gonna continue to publish games on its own and be its own independent company. It's just gonna be owned by the PlayStation and the Sony Interactive brand. Dope move, in my opinion. It's kind of like one of them situations where a rapper gets signed to a label and they get to keep all their masters and their royalties and all kind of shit. Like the label just want to be in business with them and want to help them succeed and give them opportunities that a normal artist wouldn't be able to get, so that both of them can make money together. Like, that's what it's looking like over here. That's what the feel is. Bungie is going to continue to do its thing. Sony is going to bankroll. And I'm okay with that. Like, I feel like Bungie only has Destiny at this point in time. So there's really not much, Sony needs to take away as far as creative control. Or like, there's not much that Sony needs to do to butt their head in, because that particular series, that franchise, is well established. The player base is huge. They're constantly updating the game, constantly dropping new DLC for it, constantly building out the Destiny world and universe. And if we being real, it's on par with Call of Duty. Like, we just watched Microsoft buy Activision, Blizzard, King, and Call of Duty is Activision's biggest title right now. And if we being real now, Bungie has been able to keep up. I'm not saying that the Destiny series or franchise is more popular than Call of Duty, but what I am saying is they pull in big numbers as far as their player base and downloads on their DLCs and shit like that, just like Call of Duty does. Not more, but in that same realm. So I really feel like it's dope. I feel like Sony going after Bungie and ultimately acquiring them and bringing them into the Sony Interactive fold was a move that is going to lend very, very well to the future of gaming, specifically VR, because PlayStation has PlayStation VR and shit like that. And Bungie, if you notice, like, they're very, very futuristic with the way that they develop their games and just how they build out their content and stuff like that. Like, they focus on futuristic games. Bungie is the original creator of the Halo series, and you see what that turned into. Like, Halo is fucking massive. Like, if you own an Xbox, you have to have Halo on it or whatever. It's one of the very few games that I wish was on PlayStation so that I could play it as well. I always got to just play it in passing with friends who had Xbox, and I always left the Xbox like, damn, should I get one of these so I could play this fun ass game? Like, Halo is a dope franchise. It's a dope series. Bungie did an amazing job kicking that shit off. The developers who have it now, easy layup. They have so much to build off of as far as the story and the world building that Bungie put in the time and effort to create when they did the Halo series. Like, phenomenal game. Same thing with Destiny. Like, Destiny is deep in lore. It is a game that has so many moving parts to it. It's been built out very well. The worlds are amazing. The gameplay is dope. Like, I played Destiny 2. Like, Destiny 2 is fire. So when the news dropped that Sony and, had bought Bungie or whatever, I was like, oh, that's a good move. Especially the style of games that they like to create. I could see a Destiny like kind of spin-off or a tie-in in the virtual reality space. Like, I feel like Bungie and PlayStation, they teamed up and they was like, virtual reality is the future of gaming. It might not completely take over the gaming industry. It might be decades before that happens, but it's definitely here and it's definitely something that's catching. So let's put our heads together and come up with something fire that's going to revolutionize the space. And I feel like that's what this acquisition was mostly about, preparing for the future. Because right now, Bungie is saying, Destiny 2 is all we have or whatever, but we have more games in the pipeline. No, we're not going to tell y'all how far we are in development for those. And like, there's no release dates, no trailers, not even no hint of what kind of games these are, other than they said that they would like to continue to build out the Destiny universe and incorporate some of those games, as well as come up with some new stuff. So it's dope that PlayStation has pretty much said, cool, come over here and work on that stuff with us. We'll share whatever resources we have with you guys. Whenever we need some resources from you guys, we'll hit y'all up or whatever. But ultimately, we're gonna front y'all some money to, continue to be a great development studio, a great publisher, and all that shit like that. So I'm like, this is dope. This means something special for the future, because Sony acquiring a brand that kind of focuses or specializing in creating like wildly popular franchises that focus on a futuristic world, it just got my brain to jogging. I'm like, what if we get a Destiny VR and that shit would be dope, given the way that Destiny 2 plays. I'm like, I see things happening and I'm fucking with it. I also like that, in these press releases, Jim Ryan over at Sony and, the team over at Bungie or whatever, they've been very clear, like, we're not about to do no shiesty shit and make our games PlayStation exclusive or whatever. We're going to continue to develop games for all platforms to give our fans and our player base an opportunity to enjoy the games on whatever console or whatever medium that they choose to enjoy it on. I feel like that's dope as well. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to do that little shit where we say, okay, well, we got this company or whatever, PlayStation exclusive. Let's alienate our fan base and people who experience our games on other platforms and try to, pigeonhole them into buying a new fucking PlayStation. Like, I like that they're just saying, like, this is a partnership that is rooted in creativity and innovation, and they just want to, share resources and create, dope games for the future. I'll fuck with stuff like that. Like, that's dope to me. It's also exciting because, Jim has also come out and said, don't expect this to be the last acquisition that you hear about from Sony. Like, Sony is not laying down. They don't give a fuck about what's going on over there at Xbox, Microsoft, or whatever the case might be. They have plans and they are rolling forward despite, some of the shareholders jumping ship and letting the fucking stocks plummet after hearing about what Microsoft Xbox had just done with Blizzard Activision King. So look out for more shit from Sony. I'm excited. There are talks, or there's some things, some rumors that next Sony is gonna try to acquire Ubisoft, which I would be thrilled about the acquisition as well, because that would just lend us more to the RPG space. Like I said on my gamer talk, when I just posted that on the Blurredcast like last week, I was saying that I want PlayStation, if they could, to focus more on, single player games, RPGs, and games that, don't necessarily require you to get on party chat and deal with fucking randoms all day. Like, I like that PlayStation has been very, very intentional about keeping the RPG genre alive and making sure that, there are dope games coming in that space and that genre. So Ubisoft going to PlayStation would be dope as fuck, because that is the Assassin's Creed franchise. That is Rayman for, you back in the day gamers who really, really fuck with PlayStation. That is also all of Tom Clancy's like forays into the gaming space. Like, Ubisoft going over to Microsoft would really, really be dope. They told some great stories with their games, and I feel like if that rumor turns out to be true, kudos to Sony for just being aware and being like, yeah, we need to lock in some dope developers. Also, rumors are Sony is coming for Square Enix next. Also, which also dope, because again, focusing on that RPG genre. Like, this is Square Enix who's given us Kingdom Hearts, which is my all-time favorite gaming series franchise to date. The Final Fantasy franchise is also Square Enix. They really built that out into something amazing over the generations and decades that Final Fantasy has been a thing. Like, I'm excited. Sony ain't backing down. They are continuing to impress, and they're continuing to make sure that, the community knows that just because Xbox and Microsoft did what they did with Activision Blizzard King does not mean that that's the nail in the coffin for Sony. Like, still making moves, still pushing forward, and I fuck with shit like that. But as of now, that is it. That is all the information that we have. Those are the only things that have come to mind, given the information that we have thus far. If anything happens after this episode releases and anything I want to talk about, I will, continue the conversation. I'll probably update this episode with a part 2 or something like that. But as for now, hit me up on socials at BrianSapph. That's Brian Saff on Twitter and Instagram. Talk to me about it. Let me know how y'all feel. Let me know what y'all thinking or whatever. Like, do y'all like this, acquisition? Is it like throwing you off? Does it not make sense? I know when I was talking to my dog Webster Style when we were doing the NRW Checkpoint episode that's going to be releasing soon, like, he was confused at the number, because 3.6 billion is a lot of money for a gaming studio that only has one game right now. Like, that is a lot of money. But like I said, I feel like Sony is, they're just trusting Bungie. They're bankrolling their future endeavors, and it's going to lead to something great. But that's neither here nor there. Y'all can check that conversation out when the next episode of the NRW Checkpoint drops. Webster has some very good commentary on the actual acquisition that I think you guys will enjoy listening to. So y'all make sure y'all head over to the Nerds Rule the World YouTube channel to make sure that y'all catch that episode when it drops, as well as all the things we talk about on the NRW Checkpoint, most notably the new releases in the video game world this week. Outside of that, stay tuned for more episodes of the Talk and Play Blurredcast. I will be back to discuss more things blurty with you from my blurty little brain. But I'll holler at y'all and catch y'all in the next one.